All right, it's the voice of college football with my reaction to your reaction to the Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football top 25 that some of you are getting it. Some of you are getting it. Many of you have gotten it for a long time, and I truly respect your judgment. The top 25 that actually makes sense. So this is my reaction to your reaction, and I appreciate the reaction and the comments and the responses, regardless of how meaningful, impactful, insightful they have been, or how stupid and idiotic that they've been. Believe me, if you have an issue with any particular placement of any team, that is not an issue. We all understand that this is not an exact science. Hopefully, that's understood by everyone. That whether it's the AP, the UPI, way back when, the coaches poll, whomever is delivering their top 25 poll, it's not an exact science. I at least deliver a system to it. Everybody else is just kind of like however they feel. So this is exactly systematic, at least, actually systematic at the very least. So I wanted to respond to some of the comments because some of them make me laugh, make me cringe, and everything in between. All right, let's get down to it. I want to remind you that this is the place to be for college football analysis for you, the smart fan. And if we can't categorize you as the smart fan at this point, please subscribe, watch the videos, and you will soon be able to call yourself a smart college football fan. All right, let's get to it. Love the first comment we'll address that just came down. Well, it was actually sometime yesterday from Alex T. The next time you decide to make a top 25, put the crack pipe down, then make your top 25. It's down. Got it down. All right, we'll work on that and get right to it. Okay. Mary and Steve Klauser Miller. Boy, that's a complicated household. Steve and Mary Klauser Miller. He don't even make any sense. Do I really need to expound upon that comment or that statement made? He don't even make any sense. All right, we've got Alan. Who is Georgia something, a bunch of typos. Sorry, Alan, I appreciate your comments. You join us in the live stream on a regular basis, but man, the typos are too much to clean up right there. I have no idea what you're talking about. All right, let's move on to our man, Navy Thomas. I would not put Nebraska in the top 30. Okay, don't worry about it. Navy Thomas, Nebraska is not in the top 30. Okay, we can move on from there. 10-0. Before I watch the video, if Auburn isn't number one with your type of top 25, then this clearly doesn't make sense. Update. Okay, cool. So somebody questioned me. Then they checked out the top 25, and they're basically thinking in the same direction that I am. And then they verified and confirmed that, yes, we do make sense here. May not be your top 25. So you understand what everybody else does when they construct their top 25. They're basically looking at the AP or the coaches poll and saying, I don't think Florida is 7. Let's make them 9. I don't think Ohio State should be 8. Let's make them 6. And they're basically just tweaking the poll. I don't look at anybody else's polls. I could care less about anybody else's polls. I look at the standings. I weigh results, performance, and opponents. And I am not making a prediction. So for those people that are always reminding me of what team schedules are down the road, no way is so-and-so going to be able to stay number 5. They've got to play X, Y, and Z in the next few weeks. Well, that's not a ranking. That's a prediction. Let's get it straight. That's a prediction. Not a ranking. That's a prediction. And then I love the people that after I have a team ranked at a certain position and then they lose, that they drop in the rankings, and then they tell me how stupid I was because I had that team 5th, for example. And then they say, see, they weren't 5th best in the country. They lost. Okay. You understand that this is the way it works with polls. with top 25 polls, with whatever the poll is, that that would basically be the knock on all polls, is the teams drop after they lose. All right. It's based on the results on the field, not based on my thoughts, not based on my viewpoint on position strengths. I had somebody comment to me that this particular team was weak along the offensive line, and then they had issues at this position or that position. Okay, well, if they do, then that will show itself on the field, and they will not perform well, and they'll drop in the rankings. It's all based on performance and results. Okay, let's get to some other comments here. I wanted to address the comments. There were some good ones. There were some stupid ones. That's what you typically get. All right. Trying to get 1,000 subs help. Saw Ohio State at 8, left the video, came back to talk about the Miami cheek clap heard around the earth. Cheryl, I see next year the Buckeyes have Oregon next 2 years. Okay, this is about next year. Cheryl, we love you. We're going to move on from that comment about next year. Gregory, I took a hit of acid and now I get it. This top 25 actually does make sense. Whatever it takes there, Gregory, to slap you into shape and get you thinking straight. For some people, it's just been listening to the explanation a few times and then they, you know what, Mark, I get it. I get what you're doing. And again, if you think Oregon should be 11 instead of 14, that's not the issue here. Of course, the rankings aren't going to be, we're not going to all agree that the translation of the product on the field is going to translate exactly to these rankings. I released the top 25 last week that didn't actually make sense, but it was the top 25 teams in the country, according to me, according to just, this is my feel for it. This is what I believe. For example, Oklahoma, number 6 in the country. I believe that Oklahoma is the 6th best team in the country. They have not earned a number 6 ranking. They will have that opportunity when they play Texas and Iowa State and some better teams. For right now, beating UCLA and South Dakota and Houston does not earn you the 6th ranking in the country. But I believe that Oklahoma is the 6th best team in the country. So in my rankings, what are they? 18th, I think. That's about what they have earned at this point. Joshua, I think to call this the top 25 is crazy. Maybe top 25 weekly performance, but not top 25. Okay. If it was the top 25 weekly performance, then UCLA might be in the top 10 this week. It is a top 25 based on the entirety of the 4 games in the season. Florida shouldn't even be in the top 15. Who has Florida beat? Miami, Kentucky, Tennessee, UT Martin. Those are the teams that they've beaten. The schedule's readily available. Young Rebel. Your page has quickly become my fave college football program. It's much better than that one network and major networks, as he lists here. Thank you, Young Rebel. I appreciate it. Supporting truth. What doesn't make sense is the fact that you do not have Missouri ranked. Okay. Now, so this is a reasonable comment. This person believes that Missouri has one of the 25 best resumes in the country, having beaten West Virginia and South Carolina. I can respect that. I looked at Missouri. They have a loss against Wyoming. So they did not make my top 25, but I at least can understand and respect the comment. And I will get to the comments in the comment section. I don't have a whole lot of time, unfortunately. Tipper Steffi 1, Clemson should be in the top 3. Okay. Clemson's an interesting take. Clemson is a dominant team. I rated Clemson in my personal top 25 as the number 1 team in the country. I believe that right now they are the best team in the country. They play a bad schedule, and that Texas A&M win is not looking quite as good as it did at the time. So Clemson has not earned a high ranking. I believe I have them at number 5. The teams in front of them have beaten better teams, or they have beaten better teams in a more dominant fashion. I agree. Auburn isn't the best team, but they clearly have the best resume performance so far. This comes from 10-0. 10-0. You get it. Thank you. Auburn does have the best resume. Oregon, Texas A&M, easily handling Kent State and Tulane, but Oregon and Texas A&M, those victories earn Auburn the number 1 spot in the country. And 10-0 gets it. I agree. Auburn isn't the best team, but they clearly have the best resume performance so far. So far. They could lose the next 6 games in a row. They would disappear from those rankings. Hollins D. No way Florida should be over Ohio State. Who has Florida beaten? Okay, again, Kentucky, Miami, Tennessee are better teams than who Ohio State has beaten. And please don't cite the team's records, because the records also include losing to that particular team, for one thing, and Ohio State beating group of 5 teams with better records than Power 5 teams in the SEC. You can't make that comparison. Florida has a better resume to date than Ohio State. Now, again, when I listed my top 25 teams based on who I believe are the 25 best teams in the country, I said Ohio State is the 4th best team in the country and Florida is the 17th best team in the country. But in the rankings that should count based on your performance and your results on the field, Florida has done more to date than Ohio State. There's a lot of football to be played. Ohio State has all of its toughest games ahead of it. Florida has many of its most tough games ahead of it. Auburn, LSU, Georgia, of course, and so forth. All right. Bucknut 66. Where's Michigan? Weren't they supposed to win the Big Ten? Well, now isn't that special? Yeah, Michigan had a 40-some% chance of going to the college football playoffs, and Ohio State had a 6 or 7% chance of going to the playoffs. It doesn't quite look that way now. The season's not over. That's just 1 loss in the Big Ten for Michigan, but it does not look good. Don't kill me, please. I'm just a vibe. How does your list make sense? Your formula isn't based on any numeric data. This is basically your opinionated top 25. Yes, there is opinionated top 25. There is opinion involved. Yes, there's some perspective given to it. No, it's not a metric. Don't kill me, please. I'm just a vibe. Do you believe that the AP and the coaches polls rely on metrics? Do you think that there are any metrics involved? I'm at least judging the wins and the losses, the opponents, and the performance on the field in regards to the level of dominance. I'm at least evaluating that. Do you think that there's a metric with the AP poll or the coaches poll? You need to do a little research, and it's not going to take a whole lot of research. You can stop with your research right now. There are no metrics involved in the AP poll or the coaches poll. All right. Nick MA 71. Also, Ohio State and Wisconsin could crush Auburn, not win, crush. Okay, that would be an opinion. And again, that would be a prediction on a game that's not going to be played. That has nothing to do with the rankings. We can sit here and make all sorts of claims about who could crush whom. If I would have told you last year, 2 weeks before the Purdue-Ohio State game, that Purdue was going to crush Ohio State, you would have called me an idiot. And also, them beating them on one particular night doesn't mean that Purdue was better than Ohio State. They lost 7 games, and Ohio State lost 1 game against similar competition. Ohio State was still the better team, but they lost a game. So when people ask me all the time, could so-and-so beat so-and-so? Unless the question is, can New Mexico State beat Alabama? I tell them, yeah, they could. Could half the teams in the Big Ten beat Ohio State on a given day? Yes. Are they better than Ohio State? No. Those are two different questions. All right, here we go. Josh P. Last week, Oklahoma was your number 18 pick. In week 4, OU had a bye week, played no one, moved up 3 spots to number 15. I love you, Mark Rogers. Well, I appreciate that, Josh, that you love me. I'm not going to say that the sentiment matches exactly here, but Josh, I appreciate you. I appreciate you. So I don't move teams up and down. There is no movement. I don't even know what the rankings were last week. I reconstruct the rankings based on the resume. So yes, a team could be number 15 and win and drop because the teams right behind them might have notched more impressive wins against better opponents and more impressively, more dominant performances. Therefore, their resume became better. Again, I cite the example from 2004 when USC was preseason number 1, Oklahoma was preseason number 2, Auburn was preseason number 19. Auburn played just as well as those two other teams, especially Oklahoma. They ran the table, went undefeated in the SEC, which was most likely the best conference in America. But what happened? Auburn ran into a ceiling and they finished number 3 because they couldn't pass the other two. Because, of course, we can't move teams out of the way because in the preseason we said they were number 1 and number 2. So we can't move them because that would not be fair. Well, what's not fair is that Auburn started at number 19 when they did absolutely nothing to justify number 19, either in a positive light or a negative light. They ran into a ceiling. And people that rank like that aren't really thinking it through because they had a preconception and then they just hold to that unless there are results that completely conflict with that. So what happened? Auburn did not get to play in the national championship game, not because of their performance on the field to be judged less than Oklahoma and USC, because they ran into a ceiling. So that's what happens when you set a ranking and then you say, I'm not going to move this team out of the way. Yes, I very much respect a team continuing to stay undefeated. Absolutely. I love this comment from Scott Reams, and I have no idea what it means or if it's fictional or whatever. I just loved it. RJ's mama is on her way to your house right before the buffer. Okay. Scott, I don't know who RJ is, nor his mama. But if she would like to come over to my house, there would have to be certain restrictions and parameters placed on that visit. Don't let everybody into my house. But hey, maybe we can have dinner together with RJ. I don't know RJ. He must be a relative of Scott's or somebody. He must be an Oklahoma fan, I guess, because this has to do with the Oklahoma ranking. All right. Richard Jones. Mark, I never knew you took drugs, but that's the only explanation. Wow. We have some spelling gurus commenting to the channel. Explanation for your top 10 since those are the only teams that matter. Mark, I never knew you took drugs, but that's the only explanation for your top 10 since those are the only teams that matter. I place teams in my top 10 that matter, but I'm taking drugs. All right, Richard, thank you. Frost Nixon, Florida still in the top 10 after seeing them play this year is beyond me. What are you thinking? I'm thinking that they have a resume that places them in the top 10. Jacob, thank you. I love this comment. This might be my favorite comment because it actually disagrees with me in a respectful and insightful way to basically say, I don't agree, but upvote because I love the channel. I love your channel, Mark. I don't agree with your rankings, but I love your channel. I don't agree with what you're doing here. I don't get it. Fine. I don't know if I'm going to get to this comment, but somebody commented that they love what I do. They love the channel. They love the videos, but they're unsubscribing because they're so mad about these rankings. I unsubscribed. I loved what you were doing, but I unsubscribed. Really? Really? Think about the content that you take in: television, radio, podcasts, videos. I love the show The Office. I think it's hilarious. Have I seen 5 episodes, 10 episodes, a dozen episodes that I thought were pretty lame, pretty bad, not really amusing? And I think the show's hysterical most of the time. But yeah, I've seen 10 or 12 episodes at least that I thought, yeah, that didn't really do it for me. I think my expectation of the show got so high because I thought it was hilarious that I then got disappointed in certain episodes. Did I then say, I'm not watching this show, not watching this show anymore? 100 hilarious episodes, 10 awful episodes, or mediocre episodes. I'm done. If that's your standard, you're not going to intake too much entertainment in this world. 912 Tooligan. I agree with most of this list. Big Dog. Auburn has an elite D line and great defense overall. Not sold on the performance of the offense yet. Probably too much credit given on the Oregon win. But understand that these are probably the 2 best wins so far this season. I guess I just talked myself into your logic. I'm going to warn you. I'm going to warn you, for you skeptics out there, if you watch too long and listen to me for too long, or you may not really want to do this, go this far, actually call me during a call-in show. Don't do that. Don't call me during a call-in show and have me run this down for you, because you may just get convinced. Uh, so, Big Dog, I appreciate your comment. We've got the super chat on, everyone. Super chat, help us build the channel. And I know I'm getting comments in, and I really need to run. Unfortunately, I wanted to do something much longer to respond to all these comments. There's probably 150 comments at least. We shot a Michigan video post game of the Wisconsin debacle that has over 400 comments and 20,000 views. So thank you so much for that. I want to let everyone know, and I'm sorry that I can't respond to the live chat right now. Coming up this week, conference rankings. I will get to all the conferences. All the conference rankings are coming out. We've got previews on these games: Ohio State, Nebraska, from both sides, including guest appearance from D. Miller, former Ohio State wide receiver. Auburn, Mississippi State preview, Penn State, Maryland, Bama, Ole Miss, USC, Washington, Oklahoma, Texas Tech, Wisconsin, Northwestern, and who knows, some others as well. And of course, big Wednesday night, as usual, here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, 7 o'clock Florida State, 8 o'clock Miami, 9 o'clock Ohio State. Please lock in for those live streams. I do want to get to the comments in just a second, but man, I really got to run. If this really gets rolling, and I get the kind of views that I need to create the kind of revenue that we need here, then I won't have to run. Okay. All right, here we go. We got Mary and Steve Closer Miller again. He don't even make sense. What a joke. So they had to restate that, and they added a couple words. I think they put on the what a joke. So they decided a few hours later that they initially told me he don't make any sense, and then they came back like 5 hours later to told me he don't make any sense, and what a joke. So at least they figured out that it was a joke. It took them about 5 hours, and then they decided, oh, this was a joke, or he's a joke. We didn't know that 5 hours ago. It took us 5 hours to determine that we can write he don't even make any sense again, and then determine this is a joke. All right. I am losing some of these results. Steven Streitenberger. LMAO. Yeah, this won't stand up for long. Basically, purely on, oh boy. We need to check the typos, people. Anyway, okay. Basing it purely on wins against opponents that you have no idea how strong they really are. How do you know how strong they are? You can't rank teams then, based on what you're telling me here. Then you just give up on the process and you can't rank teams. You shouldn't rank teams. You can't rank teams. And maybe that's what you're saying. Don't rank any teams. Nobody rank any teams. Don't do it because we don't know how strong the opponents are. You're right. We don't know, but we know a little bit more every week. Wisconsin beat up a Michigan team that hadn't done anything, and you actually think they could beat Ohio State. Did I say that? When did I say that Wisconsin could beat Ohio State? We shall see there, expert. I'll accept that the Buckeyes haven't played anyone but Wisconsin over Clemson and Alabama. You're smoking some really good stuff there, Mark. This must be the universal response to people who don't agree with somebody else, that they're smoking something. And I understand that that's been a cliched response for, 30 years or so, probably going back to the hippie generation of the 60s and 70s. But you understand that it's not very creative. Can we get a little bit more creative with our responses, please? You will never hear me accuse anybody of smoking something because it's just not an original comeback. But, that's fine. Yeah, no Washington. No Washington. Haven't quite earned it. But I understand, again, like the Missouri response, I have no issue with that. I have no issue with saying Washington. Maybe Washington was number 26. But that's a perfectly fine comment out of Micah Slifer. No love for Duke. Duke lost to Alabama by 39 points. Come on. Oh, this is DeAndre, come on. All right. This is not a prediction. Just because I rank somebody ahead of somebody else doesn't mean I am going to predict that they are going to beat them. Just because I said and rank Wisconsin, who has beaten Michigan and crushed 3 opponents, at number 4 and Ohio State at number 7, whatever they are. That is not a prediction. That doesn't mean everybody that I've ranked higher than other teams, I am predicting them to beat them. DeAndre, cool top 25. I think he likes Wake Forest in there. I think that's what he's giving me credit on. It's okay, don't cry. This top 25 is dog shite. Okay. I don't understand the thought given to let's watch a top 25 or let's sink into a top 25 that looks like all the other top 25s that doesn't have any original thought to it. It's fine. I can take the AP poll and lift a team 1 spot and drop another team 2 spots and then say, this is my top 25. And everybody would be like, okay, that looks good. That's okay. All right. It's fine. I hate to stretch everybody's brains. I really hate to do it. But there are more difficult things in life, so it's really not stretching our brains too much. But we can stretch it a little bit. I know the college football is fun, but we bring a little analysis to it. So we're actually doing something different. We're actually judging teams and evaluating them based on the play on the field. If we did a power index in the NFL, I would give the Buffalo Bills all sorts of credit for being 3-0, but I would give consideration to their opponents who aren't very good to date. We don't think Jets, Bengals, and whoever else they beat, but they're 3-0. The NFL standings don't know any different. They're 3-0. They're playing the Patriots this week. They're 3-0. All they know is they're both 3-0. They're tied for first place. Wow, what a novel idea. What a novel idea. But what would most NFL fans consider New England to be versus Buffalo? Patriots number 1 team in the NFL. Bills 20, 15, 20. Okay, that's fine if there was a ranking. But you know what? Buffalo could go out and beat New England this week and have sole possession of first place in their division, regardless of what anybody thinks about them. People could continue to say, that's a fluke. They're really not that good. You know what? the only thing that would matter is that they won the games on the field. Wow. It almost sounds like sports. It almost sounds like competition. It's pretty mind-boggling, mind-blowing that we would actually reward teams based on the results on the field. Debucci, LSU, LSU, LSU. Rick Williams. Oh man, another great comment here. I think this is cool. Plus, I get it. I responded to Rick. Please educate others. You're ahead of the curve. Okay. Jeremy, and I can appreciate this comment. I believe I haven't read it all the way through. My opinion is if you're going to say based on performance and then leave a team that has so thoroughly dominated and looked as complete of a team in all areas as Ohio State has out of the top 5, you lose me. They haven't played anyone. I love the Notre Dame ranking, and I love that you're not penalizing a team for losing between the hedges by 1 score. That makes sense. But right now, no team looks as scary on both fronts and defensive backfield wise as Ohio State. They haven't played anyone. And I know the schedule very well. It's good. Good that you memorized the schedule. And I know we will have our chance to move up. Thank you. So don't worry about it. But in an age where we still live with a now undeserved SEC bias from the mid 2000s to 2011 era, it's unfair to the Bucks to sell their performance through 3 games short. No, it's not unfair to them. Play somebody, and they will play someone, and then they can show us one way or the other whether they should be ranked higher or lower. Just because everybody doesn't start out playing the best team in the world and the teams that have a backloaded schedule, they'll catch up if they win the games or win most of the games and look capable in the losses. All right, we got Steven Streitenberger chiming in again with the Buckeyes would crush the Gators right now. Maybe they would. I sincerely doubt if Ohio State would crush Florida in a game. Crush them, 48-10? They're going to beat Florida 48-10. Again, this has nothing to do with the rankings, though. Florida's beaten better teams than Ohio State. They're going to be ranked higher. And we got Roddy Schaefer chiming in about SEC athletes. Hey, Mark, why did Virginia pass Wake? You had Wake ranked well ahead of Virginia last week, and now they are a spot above. Wake destroyed, admittedly, a poor Elon team 49-7, while Virginia struggled to defeat an almost or something not very good Old Dominion team. Wake goes down from 15-18, yet Virginia moves up from 24-17. I'm just a bit confused about this ranking. That's a reasonable question. So I've got Virginia at 17 and Wake at based on this, I don't remember where I have them or what do you say. But that's a reasonable conversation. I would have to go through the schedule and look at it again. But Jimmy, 86, thank you for the comment. Thank you for discussing and debating and analyzing and challenging my rankings based on reason. Thank you. I would have to go through Virginia and Wake and really look at it. Off the top of my head, Wake has beaten North Carolina. That win would be lowered based on the App State loss. Wake has also defeated Utah State. And then on the other hand, you've got Virginia having just beaten the Pitt win. That was again, I don't raise and lower teams. I don't look at last week and raise and lower teams. I completely throw it out the door. I don't even know what it is. And then I start over. But based on the logic here, it's coming back to me. Virginia went up because the Pitt win was elevated. The Pitt win was elevated. The Florida State win was elevated for Virginia, but mostly the Pitt win over UCF elevated Virginia's wins. Wake Forest win over North Carolina, their best win, drops because they lost to App State. But I appreciate it, Jimmy86. You know what? I really need to leave. I got to go to work. I appreciate everybody in the live stream. I wanted to make this a big blowout, but we only have so much time. I could get to only so many comments, but I've got previews headed your way. And of course, our big Wednesday night, Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, with 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock live streams with Florida State, Miami, and Ohio State. Please help us in any way you can. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. All the videos are right there for you. And we are going to start to blow out some videos on previews for this week. Again, Oklahoma, Texas Tech, Wisconsin, Northwestern, USC, Washington, Alabama, Ole Miss, Penn State, Maryland, Auburn, Mississippi State, Ohio State, Nebraska from both sides, and many more. Plus, get our Voice of College Football newsletter. Send your email to mine at MarkRogersTV at Gmail. Your email to mine. You just get the one letter per week. I'm not going to clutter up your inbox. Ask anybody. We've got about 100 that go out each week. And just send me your email to MarkRogersTV at Gmail. Also, sign up for the Voice of College Football community. The link is in the description section below, or soon will be, of any of the videos. Go to the description section, sign up for the Voice of College Football community, help us build the channel, and you get exclusive content right there. Also, Amazon, Christmas is coming. Shop at Amazon. Use the link in the description section below. And bet now. You get 100% added to your account if you go through my link and use the promo code MRTVCFB. MRTVCFB. If anybody wrote any comments in the live chat that were directed toward me that you wanted a response, whether a question or a comment, please copy and paste your comment, your question, and send it to any of the videos in the regular comments section, so it is permanently there so I can respond to it. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. I'm sorry I wasn't able to address the live chat, but this is one of the reasons why we need to go full time right here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. We will see you very soon.